Welcome to the Helix webinar series. Today's session is on smart reporting to Helix Dashboards. It's a workshop. We've been running these now for well over a year, so it's lovely to see many of you here. This is for the APAC region, so hopefully you're going to get a lot from today's session. A couple of reminders before I hand over to Abhinay and Nikhil and Ajinkya, who will do their formal introductions shortly. There is the Q&A section of Zoom. If you do have any questions, please use that to put your questions in there. We have got quite a bit to cover and some demos. We will get to those questions during, and also towards the end, we will have time for some live Q&A. Do note that you will stay unmuted, so we do need you to ask us questions via the Q&A and not the chat. So Nikhil, I'm now going to hand over to you to get us started with the agenda.
Thank you, Sam, and good morning, good afternoon to all our participants from wherever you're joining this workshop. I'm Nikhil Deshpande. I am a product manager for BMC Helix Dashboards. And as always, I'm excited to be here in front of all of you to present one more session of this webinar, or rather workshop, to facilitate for you this migration of reports from smart reporting to Helix Dashboards. I'm joined by my colleagues Abhinay Dubey and Ajinkya, and the three of us will walk you through what does this migration process look like. There will be a brief introduction to BMC Helix Dashboards. We'll cover why Helix Dashboards is the right dashboarding solution for your needs. We'll then get into the best practices of migrating reports, which is what Abhinay will cover. We'll then cover a product demo for Visual Query Builder, which is our drag and drop tool to help you create or develop dashboards without having to write SQL. We'll also cover a product roadmap so that you get a preview into what's likely to come in the product over the next year or year and a half. And finally, we will have questions and answers. So if you have any questions, and I'm sure you do, please post your questions in the Q&A section, and panelists will respond to your questions. There are two prerequisite training courses for attending this workshop, and I hope that you have already attended these. The first one is a fundamentals. So both of them are web-based training courses. The first one is fundamentals about Helix Dashboards. In this workshop, we're not going to cover the basics. The basics are already covered in the fundamentals training. The second one is a deep dive into migrating reports. In this workshop, we'll cover the best practices, but the technical details of how to execute migration of reports is covered in the second WVD. If you haven't taken these courses, I recommend that you do these as soon as possible. You'll notice we're going to cover the product roadmap, so I need to inform you that BMC does not make any commitment about what features will be delivered in the product. If you're planning to make any purchase decisions, please do so based on product features that are generally available. So let's start with Helix Dashboards. If you've used BMC products, then you've probably heard this term service ops. And what exactly is it? For far too long, there have existed within enterprise IT functions broadly two functional units: IT service management and IT operations management. While service management focuses on the service desk and other ITIL practices such as incident, problem, change, release, service catalog, and so on, operations management is focused on running the day-to-day operations. So everything like service monitoring, capacity management, events, metrics, and so on. And these two units in the past worked as two independent units, as they worked as silos. The walls between these two functional units are not conducive for IT organizations to realize their goals of fulfilling their customer requirements. All IT functions must make their customers competitive, and their customers could be internal customers or external customers. Regardless, you need to make your customers competitive so that they can compete better in the marketplace, whether they're competing with established enterprises or nimble startups. And that's why it's critical that these two units, operations management and service management, work together as one cohesive unit. Another important factor here is the recent rise of the DevOps culture, which is about the reality is that software development is no longer limited to the four walls of the IT function. In a number of companies, we see that there are teams such as teams in marketing or other functions where they develop enterprise applications and they don't necessarily align with all the IT processes, often creating friction between lines of business and IT. Service ops is about facilitating DevOps. It's about completely removing that friction and enabling the DevOps culture at your company to flourish. Yet another factor is that lines of business are embracing service management principles and practices in a big way. Today, any function that is not in the business of serving external customers is in the business of serving internal customers. So think of all functions like HR, facilities, finance, marketing, and several others. They all serve requests for their internal customers, and they are being held to the same service levels, the same levels of customer satisfaction that in the past IT functions were held to. And that's why line of business service management is just as critical in all companies today. Service and service ops encompasses all of these to make your IT function and your lines of business competitive and be able to meet and exceed customer expectations and service level agreements. Helix Dashboards is an integral part of the service ops story. And how so? We'll see in a moment. So that brings us to BMC Helix Dashboards. What exactly is Dashboards? BMC Helix Dashboards is a dashboarding tool built on top of Grafana. Grafana is a well-known dashboarding tool, especially in the observability space. But at BMC, we have expanded its capabilities so that it can be used not just for observability reporting or operations management, but broadly for the entire range of products that BMC Helix offers you on the service management side as well as on the operations management side. In service management, service desk managers and other ITSM practice managers want to have reports and dashboards on service levels, customer satisfaction, change management, release management, and so on. And operations management want to have reports on events, metrics, capacity, and so on. BMC Helix Dashboards is capable of delivering compelling visualizations across all of these processes. And that's why that's how it becomes an integral part of service ops. With just one dashboarding tool, you can develop reports across all BMC Helix products. You no longer are dependent on multiple reporting tools, which was the case with tools such as Smart Reporting. Smart Reporting worked well for ITSM, but that's what it was limited to. Unlike Smart Reporting, Helix Dashboards works across all BMC Helix products. We have developed a broad set of out-of-the-box dashboards, so you can know what's possible with dashboards. We've seen that the out-of-the-box dashboards that we ship aren't necessarily used exactly the same way by customers. Most customers will typically copy those dashboards, customize them, and create their own versions, which is absolutely fine. But we want to showcase the capabilities of dashboards, which is what we do through these out-of-the-box dashboards. With Helix Dashboards, we have got one centralized common reporting solution that integrates with all BMC Helix products. And integration is not just for the reporting capabilities, it's also about integration from the standpoint of authentication. So if you're using ITSM or business workflows, digital workplace, then your authentication is managed by Helix single sign-on. Helix Dashboards works with Helix SSO so that your users, once they're authenticated, they can seamlessly access Helix Dashboards. Likewise, if you use PMC's, PMC Helix's operations management solutions, then your authentication is done through Helix portal. Dashboards is also authenticated through portal. So regardless of where your users come from, they will have seamless access to Helix Dashboards. Another cornerstone of service ops is that you should be able to drive outcomes in one domain based on what happens in another domain. So think of situations related to events or incidents related to probable causes within operations management. BMC Helix Dashboards allows you to report across these domains so that you have one tool that goes across all your BMC Helix products. These are all the BMC Helix products and solutions that Helix Dashboards works with. Practically everything on the service management side, not just ITSM, but also CMDB, which is not exactly sold as a separate product. It's often considered a part of ITSM. We've got business workflows, digital workplace, live chat. If you have developed any custom applications using Innovation Suite, then you can use dashboards to develop reports on those applications as well as all of our BMCLX operations management solutions across events, metrics, capacity, log analytics, discovery, all of these. Let's look at a few out-of-the-box dashboards now. The first one is a digital workplace request overview dashboard. The service desk management team, typically the service desk managers, the leads, and others, they need to keep a watch over what's going on with the service catalog, what service requests are being submitted, what are the volumes of requests raised, how many are awaiting approval, so that they can serve their customers. Or what are the trends of submission of service requests? Some businesses are seasonal, others are not. But regardless, you always need to make sure that your service desk is adequately staffed so that you can continue to serve your customers. So this dashboard gives you a complete overview of what's going on with service requests. You can see some stat panels at the top that just show you certain numbers, the number of requests raised, how many approved, and so on. What's the average age of your open requests? You can see some bar charts below, such as bar charts on the requested categories, the top requested business services. One of the important responsibilities of the service desk management team is workforce planning. How much staff do you have for serving customers of different business services? This dashboard gives you a good insight into what's the demand for various services. And accordingly, you can decide how to staff these teams, these support teams. Likewise, if you're spread across multiple sites, although you may have certain centralized service desk team, there is often a need to have a local team, especially for requests related to hardware or anything that cannot be done remotely. And that's why you need a distribution of tickets or requests across various sites. This dashboard, this DWP request overview dashboard, gives you complete insight into what's going on across the service desk. Then this is a service dashboard which fetches data from operations management and service management. So within one dashboard, you've got figures like number of situations, health score, availability. You also have data from service managements of open incidents, how many service requests, SLA scores, and so on. And you also see a timeline in between. And this timeline is allows you to correlate events, health score, and incidents. And this is the power of dashboards in fetching data across disparate data sources to allow you to have access to information that cannot be served by either of these products independently. Helix Dashboards is packed with features. We we have a broad set of visualizations that you can use to develop dashboards. Although we see that there are a few visualizations that are most common, typically tables, cross tabs, but we also have pie charts, combination charts, there are bar charts, and so on. There are a number of visualizations that we have developed. We certainly ship all or most visualizations that are shipped by Grafana open source. We also ship a few visualizations that are available on the Grafana community. And we have developed a few visualizations ourselves. So all visualizations that are prefixed with BMC, such as BMC table, BMC bar chart, BMC combination chart, these are BMC's custom visualizations. And these have been developed based on feedback that we receive from our customers on what they want to achieve with what are the features necessary for reporting on BMC Helix products. Grafana, increasingly, we are seeing the popularity of Grafana as a dashboarding tool increase in the market. And because of this, it is now proven as a platform that can allow you to build dashboards at scale of data, applications, and so on. Another important factor is that Grafana skills are widely available in the market. So if you wish to hire resources with Grafana skills, so you'll find them easily in the job market. Besides, if you have your internal data analysts who are familiar with other reporting tools, their learning curve is short. They can quickly get up to speed with PMC Helix dashboards, which is built on Grafana, and quickly become productive in developing dashboards for your PMC Helix implementation. Also, it's not just about developing reports, end users as well. Your end users will quickly be able to get it up to speed about how to find the dashboards that they want to consume on a regular basis. So for admins, developers, and end users alike, the dashboards is designed to meet and exceed the expectations of all of these personas. Now let's look at a few out-of-the-box dashboards that BMC's IT function has delivered. BMC IT uses BMC Helix products. They use it to manage our data centers and our service desk as well as other ITSM implementation. Let's look at some of their dashboards. So this one is a CIO dashboard. A CIO dashboard gives a complete overview of everything that the CIO or other senior IT leaders must be aware of. You see a number of statistics here around critical events, major events, minor events, and so on. How many business services you have, how many technical services you have, how many situations are open. You see a distribution of business services. What are the top business services that you're serving? What are the how many outages do you have? And how are they distributed across different business services, across different technical services? So everything that your senior leaders need to know are available. All that information is available from the CIO dashboard. If you use VMware vCenter, then this is a vCenter overview dashboard that gives you a quick preview across your VMware estate about the communication status, the availability, how many clusters you have, what's the status of different clusters, are they available, some maybe in warning state, what's the CPU utilization across different clusters, and so on. We also see that gauges are a popular visualization. Gauges are apt in situations where you need to show a metric, a visualization, where the measurement or the metric is seen on a scale of 0 to 100, typically percentages. If you take something like service availability, you would expect that availability should be 100% or almost 100%. But what exactly is it in your data center? What is the availability of different technical services? This dashboard shows you the availability of your different services. This one, incident aging analysis, is a typical service desk report on or dashboard on incidents. One of the things that your service desk management team knows for sure is that in order to meet expectations of service levels, customer satisfaction, the work in progress should be as minimum as possible. And this is common sense. If you're working on too many things at a time, then naturally your attention is divided across many things that you do at one time. So this dashboard allows your service desk management team to focus on how many incidents do you have that are open for less than a week, how many for a week to 2 week, and more than a month, and so on, so that they can focus their attention on closing incidents or service requests that are open for a long time. And if they have to take action on something that looks like an outlier, where should they focus their attention? So for incidents that are open for a week to 2 weeks, you also see a distribution across different services. For every bucket, less than 1 to 2 weeks, 2 to 4 weeks, more than a month, and so on. You also see a cross tab of the distribution of incidents across priority and age. So you can easily find out areas of concern and direct your actions to make continual improvement. I'm now going to hand off to Abhinay, who will take us through the next part of this workshop. And this part will focus on the process of migrating reports from smart reporting to Helix dashboards. Over to you, Abhinay.
Thank you, Nikhil. I'll share my screen. Please let me know when you can see it.
Yes, I can.
Perfect. Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm Abhinay. I'm a practice manager, senior practice manager with professional services, and I'm also part of CTO ambassador team. So if you have any questions around BMC portfolio, please do reach out to me. All right. So uh, now Nikhil has already covered what's new and what's better with this new solution, Helix Dashboard, why it's superior to the previous reporting solution, smart reporting. Let's now talk about how we can move from smart reporting to Helix Dashboards. We'll talk about a few best practices and we'll talk about how we can get a better understanding of the usage so we are able to plan this transition better. So based on our best practices, professional services, best practices for executing such migration projects, we have created this 5-phased framework. It starts with a prepare phase, which is where you are trying to understand how the two platforms are, how they are similar, different, general awareness. So sessions like the one that you are attending right now is essentially part of such a prepare phase. And the trainings that you would undergo towards this goal, such as the prereq trainings that you might have taken before attending this session. So all of that is preparing you for the next phases. So prepare leads us to planning phase. Now, this is where we want to get more detailed. We want to understand what's out there, how smart reporting is being used, what's the extent of usage, what are the different features that you're using, and how they map to Helix dashboard. And that helps us in planning how we are going to tackle different type of reports, how we are going to map them into the new platform. And that takes us to migrate and validate. So these two phases will go hand in hand. You would always want to check with the end consumers of the report whether the report that has been converted or migrated to the new platform is it as per their expectations? Is it serving the purpose uh, at least same or even better than what they had in smart reporting? And finally, that takes us to transition where you are going live with a new solution. And if you have a external team working with you, like our professional services from BMC or a partner, then it will also include a knowledge transfer and a post go live support from them. Now, I've mentioned BMCPS on the slide and a few other slides, but feel free to substitute that with whoever is actually executing the migration. So you have migration team and the team that's going to handle the manage the platform after that. Okay. Now, the first part in I'm sorry in planning in plan phase would be getting a better understanding of smart reporting usage. So that takes us to assessment of your smart reporting platform. Before we get deeper into that, let's take a look at how the features map and which features are the ones which we should be focusing on when we are doing assessment. So there are many other features where we can do a comparison between the two, but for the purpose of migration, these are the ones that really matter to us. So first thing that you need to understand is um, if you look at smart reporting, you have different object types, reports with single visualization, tabular reports, core display reports, which have embedded child reports in them, or a dashboard. But if you look at the Helix dashboard, everything is a dashboard. It can have one or more panels on it. So uh, now you can see a core display report with multiple charts, dashboard, all of them map to a dashboard on Helix dashboard side, which has multiple panels on it. And whereas tabular report or a single chart reports all map to a dashboard, which has just one panel on it. It has a visualization or a tabular data. The other features we need to be cognizant of is how many broadcasts are set up and how many report links are there between the reports. The rightmost column, you would notice some of these features, object types are supported by the migration utility and some of the others are not. And that's why it's important when we do an assessment, we get these numbers right. So that will help us in understanding what can be automated, what has to be done manually. Now, here's a quick comparison on the visualizations on the two platform. Um, this can change a little bit with the new releases, but essentially you can see all the common chart types in smart reporting have something similar on the Helix dashboard side. So for example, you have different type of bar charts in smart reporting, horizontal 3D, vertical 3D, and so on. Uh, on Helix dashboard, everything is called a bar chart, but then you can customize, configure it to your liking, the way you would want it to show up. Uh, Same way you have others like pie charts and rings. So All of them have something either exactly similar or very similar in Helix dashboard. But you can also see there are certain chart types which do not have anything similar in Helix dashboard. The two platforms are essentially different, different technology and serve different use cases. So there are differences. So this is again something we need to be cognizant of. Now, how do we do the assessment? Now, we know what are the factors, what are the features that we need to do an assessment of, but how do we do that? So there are SQL queries available on BMC documentation. So you can go to this docs page. It lists all these SQL queries. Each of them is getting you a granular view of a specific feature. Now, what we need, what we are more concerned with is the factors that I've listed on the left hand side of the slide. There are many more queries which can give you much more detail than what we are discussing today. But again, most impact comes from these parameters. And these are all what we have already talked about in the previous two slides. So number one parameter we want to understand is the volume. How many reports are we migrating? What type of reports are we talking about? So are they co-display reports, reports with one visualization, multiple visualization? What kind of visualization are they using? Are they supported? Are they not supported by the migration tool? Complexity of report. Now that depends on the type of report. So point number two. So if you're talking about a co-display report, one of the complexity factor would be how many child reports are in there. Next, we want to understand is uh, how frequently the report is being run, how frequently it's being accessed, and by whom. Uh, so that will give us an idea about the priority of the report. So if you have a report which is not used in a year, then do you really need that report? So that's where this parameter comes in. Then we also need to understand if report is part of a dashboard, what kind of broadcasts are set up, how many, and how many drill down, drill through relationships are there. Here is a sample result of one such assessment. So you can see the first thing listed out there is a 90-day hit count. Now, like I said, the frequency gives us an idea about how important that report is. So if you have a report which is highly used, then that goes in your top priority report bucket. And report that's not in use, then you can question, do you really need to migrate that report or not? The number 90-day again varies from organization preference, one organization to other organization, but um, every organization can have different number of days that the threshold that they want to look back to. It can be 90 days, 120 days, 60 days, 180 days. So all depends on how far back you want to look back. Now, we'll talk about public-private, why it's important, so we can get that information also. Next one is visualization type. Visualization type, again, we want to understand what can be migrated by the migration utility, what cannot. Next, four columns will give you an idea about the complexity of the report. So how many calculated fields does that have? How many database functions are in use? Drill down, drill through relationship. If it's a co-display, how many child reports are there? And next we have is if it's part of a dashboard. So when you are recreating a dashboard, you know what reports need to be included in there. And finally, broadcast. Now let's put all of this together and look at a sample migration strategy. Again, it's a sample. The actual migration strategy would vary from one organization to other. It depends on how you are structured, uh, how you want to create the process of this migration. But essentially, some of the things will remain the same. So as you can see, it's aligned to the 5 phase framework we talked about at the beginning. The first one we have already talked about, the prepare phase, where we are right now. And the next step is planning phase. We talked about the assessment. So once we are done with the assessment, next step is to filter and prioritize. By filter, I mean, let's take out all the reports that are not in use, not really needed. So we don't need to put time and effort in migrating them. Prioritize. So like we discussed, so if there are reports which are highly in use, then of course they go into your top priority bucket. And there would be reports which are rarely used and they can go in a low priority bucket. So once we have done this exercise, we can go ahead and define a pilot scope for the pilot phase. Now, I know it's very tempting that you have a list of reports and you would want to run the migration utility on all of them and see what happens. But the problem in that approach is uh, once you are doing the validation of the reports, that is essentially a manual step, and there's only so many reports that can be validated at a time. So the recommendation is that you take your top priority reports and take it as your first phase, pilot phase, do the migration for them, a much focused uh, approach for that small set of reports. And once you are done, take up the next set of priority reports. Now, another advantage, in addition to the validation problem I talked about, another advantage is because you have a small set of reports and they are high priority, you can now get deeper into each of these reports and then plan how you want to migrate them. And when we say plan, essentially there are three options for each report. Either you can convert it, either you can recreate it, or reuse something. Conversion is essentially you are taking the report SQL query as is and just converting it into a format that is compatible with the new one. So it can be either tool assisted or you can manually move the SQL query. Recreation is where uh, you want to recreate the report from scratch, and the reason could be that you want to tap into some of the new features. Nikhil talked about the service ops potential in the new platform capability. So you can now access data sources from different PMC product lines, so Operation Manager and ITSM in single pane. So that's one of the reasons where you would want to recreate. Other reasons are optimizing the report or um, redesigning the report to make it better. And reusing is when you would want to substitute these reports with one of the out-of-box reports or some other out-of-box content. And Nikhil showed you all the those interesting out-of-box dashboards which are available right with the product, and many more are getting added in new releases. So that's another option. Once we have a migration plan in place, we know what we are going to do with these reports. Next step is to do the actual migration. So if you are doing the conversion, then the first step would be you use the tool and then um, manually update the other ones which cannot be done by the tool. Um, Now, like I mentioned earlier, this goes hand in hand with the validate phase. So the team does conversion of some reports and users validate, and this feedback goes back to the migration team. If everything goes well, then the report can be marked for go live. Otherwise, it has to be updated till we are happy with the report. During the transition phase, so you'll have go live followed by knowledge transfer. Like I said, if you have an external team, they'll help you understand what was done, how it was done, and if there are any lessons learned for the next phases. Now, once the pilot phase is done, we can pick the next set of priority reports and carry on with our next phases, which will go similarly. Now, Based on our uh, interaction with all other customers who have gone through this journey, we have seen some common trends across all customers. Every customer is different, every situation is different, so some of the things will change, but there are some commonalities, and I just wanted to talk about some of them. So, some of the learnings, the number one is report sprawl. So, what happens is most organizations don't have a governance structure on their report creation. So, anybody is able to create a report. Over time, that leads to a lot of reports getting accumulated, and most of them are not getting used. And the number varies, but what we have seen across all customers is the number is anything upwards of 50%. So some customers, we have seen number go as high as 80%. So 80% of report are not getting used. And so it varies depending on the organization, how their report creation process was. But that's where the assessment plays an important role. You need to understand what reports are not in use, what are just lying in there, and we don't need to put in any time and effort further on those. Now, the reason why you'll have an unused or a report just lying in there, um, there can be many reasons, but one of the common reasons we have seen is it was a one-time report. Somebody created it for one-time use, got the report, everybody reviewed it, nobody's using it anymore. The other reason is owner of the report changing. So either they move out of the organization or move to a different part of the organization, and they are no longer interested in the report. And also, this is more important when the report is marked private. So if you have a report which only they were looking at, and they are no longer using it, then another good candidate for taking the report out from the migration list. Number two, redundant reports. So reports which can be substituted by something which is already existing. So we are talking about the reuse aspect in the previous migration strategy, previous slide. Um, so the number one candidate for substituting or uh, replacing a report would be out-of-box reports. We talked about all these out-of-box dashboards. Please do take a look at it. If there is a dashboard which serves the purpose, then I would highly recommend not migrating your existing report and simply start using one of the out-of-box reports, dashboards. Another good place to look is PMC communities, and it has a lot of community contributed content. So you can take a look if there is any dashboard somebody created also fits your purpose, then why not? Um, the other option is to use the new consoles which are available with the product itself, especially helpful if you have tabular data and you're not looking at any kind of visualization. So there are two consoles. You can see the screenshots of them on the right hand side of the slides. The ticket console, which shows the ticket data in a tabular format, and a asset console showing the asset data. You can you can set filters, you can export the results. So if you have a report which was doing just this, then highly recommended you take a look at these instead of migrating those. The last one is I touched upon this in the previous slide as well. It's very tempting to do it for all the reports at once, but a bite-size phase planning really helps. We have seen this with many customers. When you have smaller sprints or iterations planned, then you are better able to plan your migration as well as validate them with more focus. Now, let's take a look at a few of our customers who have gone through this journey. Every customer is different, like I mentioned earlier as well. So your situation may be very different than all three of them, or you may find some similarities with one of them. Again, the point is that we have to be cognizant of how the situation is and plan accordingly. Now, the first one that you see listed over there is a large government department, and uh, they had really complex reports, a lot of complex reports, and looking at the reports, it was decided let's not do a as is migration. We'll recreate all of them because along the way we wanted to optimize the report performance as well, the queries. So the entire migration was done in multiple phases, all of them heavily workshop led. So we focus, although they had 5,200, close to 5,200 reports, but only 95 top priority reports were picked up for the pilot phase. Everything was done in a very highly agile way. So certain number of reports would be picked up at the start of every sprint, and the number would vary based on the complexity, but 7 to 8 reports in general. And like a true agile way, UAT was also going on in parallel for the ones converted in the previous sprint. The next one that you see is our retail giant. Now, they are a classic example of a report sprawl. They had around 11,000 reports, total reports that they had in the system. But once they did the assessment, once we did the assessment for them, uh, they um, they looked at it and realized only 6,000 of them are in use and 5,000 can be simply discarded. Uh, but again, the top priority reports out of these 6,000 were only 381. So the pilot phase was done only with this small set of reports. Uh, the last one that you see is a large e-commerce player, and it's just a different way of looking at how you want to prioritize the reports. Now they, instead of going report first, they went dashboard first. So they had two high priority dashboards in smart reporting, and they wanted to migrate the two dashboards and all the reports that linked into them, which came out to be around 57 total reports, including all the drill down, drill throughs. So 57 reports were taken up in the pilot phase. Again, highly agile way. They did weekly conversions and weekly mini go lives. With that, let's take a look at some of the resources that can help you in this journey. The first stop uh, for all of us should be Helix dashboard documentation page. It has all the necessary information, the assessment, the features, whatever I talked about, it's available here. There are a few other uh, uh, videos and knowledge articles available, which can again help you plan this better. Education courses, you have taken a couple of them before coming to this webinar, but then again, there are many more out there depending on what's uh, what's interesting to your role. You can pick and choose from them. It starts with basics and takes you all the way through certified associate. PMC community is another good place to visit. You can find the community contributed content, which I talked about in a previous slide. So all these dashboards are created by someone else and are available on the communities page. Take a look at those. You can also use communities to raise new product ideas and others can vote on them. There are a lot of knowledge articles, blog posts available, which can again help you. You can also ask questions and other users and BMC team also answers these. Finally, if you need any help from BMC Professional Services, here are two service offerings from PS which can help you. So the first one, the one on the left-hand side is more focused on the migration from smart reporting to Helix dashboards. and the one on the right is more focused on creating dashboards from scratch. Now, the both are structured in a similar way. You have a architect from PS who helps you through the planning, and then our dashboard experts help you do the actual technical work, followed by a knowledge transfer. And with that, I'll hand it back to Nikhil.
Yeah, Abhinay. Just give me a second. We're now going to see a demo of Visual Query Builder. Visual Query Builder is our drag and drop tool to develop reports so that analysts who are not familiar with the schema of ITSM can develop dashboards. This is a recording, so I'll play the recording now. And if you have questions, which I'm sure you do, we will take your questions a little later on this workshop.
Hello everyone. I'm going to show you all Visual Query Builder and Reporting Metadata Studio, how it helps to create dashboard very quickly. And as being as a smart reporting user, Visual Query Builder gives you a similar experience of creating dashboard. So let's see how we can use Visual Query Builder to create dashboards. Okay, so this is our Helix portal, first landing page on the Helix portfolio. I'm just opening Helix dashboard from here. Okay, so this is just my home screen. I'm just closing this doc window. Okay, so I'll just use this first plus button to create new dashboard. I'm creating a new dashboard. I'm just clicking on add new visualization. For getting data from different application, different BMC Helix application, we have uh,
Okay, there's just a blackout for a few seconds. Please hang on.
Okay, so for service management, again, there are three types. Either you can use this form to create, or you can use SQL or Visual Query Builder, these two options. So SQL is freehand SQL, and Visual Query Builder, the one that I was talking about, which gives you a similar experience like a smart reporting to create dashboard. Okay, so I'm just clicking on this Visual Query Builder. It opens this entire screen, and if you see here, the view is selected. And first view is incident management. So if you see, there are many views provided by BMC as out of box, like this change management, problem management, work order, and so on. So for now, for this demo, I'm just going to use visual incident management as a view. This view, when I say view, it's a combination of multiple forms in the AR, and also the join, and also the fields from that particular form or the column from that particular table. Okay, so if you see here, there are categories, like we call this as a fields. Okay, so incident management, and these are all incident related. Then we have some which are like only the date type. So if you notice, the icon represent that this is a date and time type of field. If you see here, these are the submitters, so it's a string, okay, string text type of. Then priority is again enum field. Okay? And similarly, we have some which is like total transfer or group transfer. These are the number field. So that way we have the different icons for different type of field. So let's say if I want to generate a report, let's say a simple report, show me the incident number and its priority. I can simply just drag these two fields. I can click on preview. It will show me, okay, the first 100 rows just for preview, what query I have selected. And if I want to see, okay, what query it is getting generated at the backend, I can simply click on this SQL and it will show that. So if I just click on use query, my panel is ready. I can click on apply and I can save this dashboard. That way my simple panel is ready. I don't need to write a SQL here. I can simply use this drag and drop functionality to create a report. Okay. So if I want to do some aggregation, let's say, right, I want priority wise number of incidents, let's say. Then I can use these aggregate functions. So depending on the field type, there are some aggregate functions associated. So if I click on this now, this will show me the count of incident number based on the priority. This is aggregation function on top of some field, right? We just need to use this three dot and use these functions. If we don't want to use field and then aggregation, there are some predefined calculated field which are like similar to this. Let's say count of incident will give you, if I want to have count of incident, I can simply use this number of incident field, calculated field directly as well. Okay. So I'll just remove this. I'll click on preview and use query. So now this is showing me a data for all priority. Let's say I want to filter this data based on the priority. So I can simply add this priority in the category, in the filter, and I can use these values. So as this is enum, we pre-populate the values for it. So I can simply say critical. I'll say preview. It will just show me the data only for critical. When I click on apply, this panel will show data only for critical priority. This visual query builder is like mostly used for creating a query and getting data into the Helix dashboard. Rest all functionality like visualization, all schedule, everything will be same. So there is no change in user experience for that. It is same for all. Now, let's say I have created this panel, but there are use cases where we need a variable or a filter, right? So we can use Visual Query Builder as a filter as well. So let's say I want to create a filter for priority. I can simply say enable query editor, and this will open. This will show me the UI for Visual Query Builder. And here I want to create a filter for priority. So I'll just drag and drop this priority field here in the selection, and I'll click on preview. So these many well. Here I cannot drag multiple things because for variable it requires only one column. So only one field I can drag and drop. We can have some functions to it. We can add filters even in the variable that we can do, but only one field in the variable. Okay. So I just click on use query and my panel is ready. Okay. If I click on apply, if I go back to dashboard, this will show critical, high, low, flow medium as a filter, and I can use that here as well. So how to use that? Earlier, with the SQL mode, we have to add that variable reference in the query. Now with the Visual Query Builder, we can simply use this button. Instead of default values, I will use template as priority. I'll just remove this. I will just click on preview. And now this will show data for critical, because first selection is critical. If I switch to high, this will show data for high. If I switch to low, it will show data for low. So this way we can link variable in the VQV as well. Okay. So yeah, these are the Visual Query Builder options flow. If I also want to show you a few more things, like there are multiple out-of-box dashboard similar to incident management. Also, this list will show some custom dashboard as well. Let's say if you have any customization done on the AR side and that is not covered in these out-of-box dashboard, out-of-box views, then we have to modify these views, add our customization, and again publish that view to Helix Dashboard so that report editors can use this view. For that customization, what we have another application which is reporting metadata studio. Okay, so to get that studio, what you can do, you can just simply go to administration, then general, then you will see a tile for reporting metadata studio. Okay, from here you can use this download button. It will download one zip file, which is a Windows application, Windows standalone application that you need to execute or run on any Windows server where you have the casing setup with AR database. Okay, because this tool will need a connectivity between Helix dashboard plus AR database. Okay, for that we can configure casing, and some of the details which are required, you can get it from here. Right, this AR host and port, these are some dummy values because these are the casing gateway host and port. Okay. You can simply use this copy to clipboard button to copy these values. Okay, so now if we talk about reporting metadata studio, so I have just downloaded this zip file from Helix dashboard, and I extracted that. It shows me this particular folder, reporting metadata editor. Here we have this BMC auth configuration, and in this we have to just do a configuration for my ADE information. Okay, so what is my ADE tenant? That information I can quickly get from here, from the portal. This is my tenant URL, this is my tenant ID, this is my tenant URL. Again, AR host and port, this is the casing configuration. So if I just show you, this is my casing configuration file where I've configured this host with this IP address and with this port. So that way I've configured this, and those details I've mentioned here. REST endpoint, this is a platform URL which you can get it from Helix dashboard. Like go to connection, open this particular BMC Helix data source, and inside this there is a platform URL. From here you can get this information. Environment alias, you can give any. For now I'm using this for demo, so that's why I'm giving given alias as a demo. We can have QA, prod, or dev, any name we can give. This is just a alias. Okay, so this is the environment file. Then we have profile file as well, where we need to mention key and secret of the user who is a reporting admin. Okay, so I'm using this user, IUR user 2, and he is an administrator. Rather, instead of reporting administrator, he is a tenant administrator. And for him, how to get the user access key and secret? So on the Helix portal, if I go to my profile, then I have this option, right, to get my access keys. From here, I can simply click on add key and I can give some name and I'll generate my uh, access key for this account. This key has two parts. One is access key and another one is a secret that we can mention, that we can copy and paste in this file and save this file. So with this, all my reporting metadata studio configuration is done. I am ready to open reporting metadata studio. So what I will do, I'll just open this reporting metadata studio in the edit mode. Yeah. And I'll just open this batch file. Okay. Reporting metadata studio requires JDK, OpenJDK 17 and above. I have just configured 17 here on this server. This will like do authentication with the respect of your access key and secret and opens up this UI. So whenever you open first time, you'll see like this blank screen. There is no connection, nothing. This is our first landing screen for reporting metadata studio. Here we have some option. This is a Windows normal application, which we can use to modify view. Okay. So before we modify, we can get these out-of-box views plus the custom views from Helix Dashboard. So if you see, these are all out-of-box dashboard provided. These are all custom dashboards which I have created on this setup. Okay. To start with any customization, we have three options. Either you can take any out-of-box dashboard, do the modification, save it with some different name, and publish to the Helix dashboard, and your view will be ready. Or else you can create from scratch. Just click on this new and start creating your view. Or third option is we can use this sample metadata view as a baseline where we have only two table and few columns from that table and one join. So that we can take it as a reference and extend that according to your need. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take again incident management, same view. I'm just clicking on OK to import. It asks me to save this model with some name. So I'll give 1009, INC 1009. Click on OK. Now, what this reporting metadata studio will do, it will actually download this view from Helix dashboard. As being this Helix dashboard as a SaaS application, all the views are stored at the SaaS or the S3 level. Okay, so it will download that file, load that file into this reporting metadata studio, and we are ready to modify this particular view. So if you see, this is our out-of-box dashboard, which consists of HPD help desk, association, base element, task, impact areas, work log. These many tables are already added table or form included in this views. This line shows the relationship between these two columns. This is like hierarchy of the relationship. This is A and this is B. And if you mouse over, you can see the relationship between all these uh, tables or forms. Okay. Before we start, I just need to create a connection to the database. So I'm just opening this connection, database connection. This is a generic database connection to the AR server. Okay, it uses this URL which we pre-populate depending on the configuration in that environment file. Only thing is user need to provide username and password. So I'm going to use same user, right? And I'm just clicking on this test button to verify if my connection is ready. Okay, so my connection is on. Clicking on OK. And now I can use this button to import the table. So here, import table. Now what I need to add one column, one new table in this view, and one column from that table. So for that, I'm just using this import table. This will show me all the tables from the AR. This list also includes all the customization done into the AR system. So just for demo, I'm going to use HPD statistics as a column, which is not there in this view. I'm just selecting that. I'm clicking on OK. Now, if you see, my table is added here as a physical table. Okay, these are all physical tables. Now, in this business model, we have to add this new table as a business table. So I'm just clicking on add new business table. I'm selecting this, and now this HPD help desk, HPD statistics, which was physical table, now it added as a business table. Now I need to add relationship between these two. So I can click on new relationship. I'll say HPD help desk of incident number. Let's say incident number. Let me just get that. Incident number and HPD help desk statistics and its instance counter. With this, I'm going to join because I know this schema. So I'm going to join these two table with the inner join. So I'm selecting inner join and I'm clicking on OK. So if you see, this line is generated and it shows the relationship between these two tables. I'm just simply saving this, okay, just to preserve my work. Now, after you save this, okay, this will take some time. Now, what next? I want few column which I want to use it as a field from this statistic table. So what I will do, I'll just add new category. Okay, when I say category, it is the folder which we have seen on the Visual Query Builder. I'll say stats, and new folder is created. I'm just going to add few fields. Let's say status in this particular stat folder. I'll say user. I want user. I want company. I think that's all for now, just for a demo. And I'm clicking OK. So if you see, these three fields got added. And if you notice, like these are all the fields which we see on the Visual Query Builder in this same order. So I'm just clicking on save again, just to save. Now my changes, whatever the changes that I wanted to do as a customization in out-of-box dashboard, that is done. I just want to verify my changes and verify my join. So here we have this query builder. We can use this query builder just to verify the changes. Okay. So I'm just selecting, okay, incident number I want, which is from HPD help desk, and I want these three fields which I have added, which are from HPD statistics that I have added. I can simply click on this SQL and see, okay, how is the join created. So if you see the join is correct, also the columns are there. And I can click on this run button. So, okay, so it will show me some data as well, so first 5,000 rows for the preview purpose. Okay. So now I'm happy with all my changes that I wanted to do in the view. I'm saving this one more time just to not miss anything. And next step is, as this studio is on my Windows machine, I want to make this view available for all the reporting user, right? Report editor. So what I have again published to Helix dashboard option. And here I can see demo. And this is the alias which I have given in this file, right? The alias. So here we have this option as well, configure tenant environment. Let's say there is a use case. You are creating this view on the dev environment. You test everything on the dev environment, but you don't want to create a view again on the QA or on the prod. You just want to publish this to QA or prod, right? So in that case, you can configure another tenant environment by using this option, and then give some different alias and select that name to publish your view. Right now, I have only one, so I'm just selecting this demo. Okay. It is asking me for some name, so I'll give the same name, INC 1009, today's date. I'll simply say, okay. Now, what it will do, this reporting metadata studio will again generate an XML file, check the authentication, like the reporting metadata studio authentication, upload this file to report to Helix dashboard. Okay, so this is now upload is done. It shows this is available. So if I go back again to Helix dashboard, and if I try to create a new dashboard using VQB, okay. So let's say I am a viewer or report editor here. Now, if I want to use the views which is created by admin, so I'll just say INC 1009. Okay. So this view is available for me, and I can see, okay, stat folder is also I can see here. I'll again create same report on the VQB as well. Let's say incident number, status, user, and company. And I'll click on preview. This will show me again a similar result. Okay. So this way we can do customization in the reporting, in the out-of-box views, or we can have the different views depending on all our customization done in the AR database. So yeah, that's what I.
Hey,
Hello everyone. So
let's go to the last part of this workshop, which is a product roadmap. Before going into the details of what specific features we plan to deliver on the roadmap, let's understand broadly how AI is changing the way business users interact with software. Today, almost everyone uses AI in their personal lives, and there's an expectation, an unstated expectation that enterprise applications should offer the same experiences that we use in our personal lives. And this is having a complete shift in the way we work. We look at the old ways of working, typically end users would log into request portals, or they would email a service desk or pick up the phone and talk to a service desk agent. Not anymore. Today, users want to be able to access a system which offers a one-stop shop for all their needs. Users already use channels such as Teams, Microsoft Teams, or Slack, and they expect that we should offer the same experiences through interfaces that they're already familiar with. The old way was for your service desk agents to hop in and out of multiple forms in an ITSM application. The new way is for them to have a fleet of assistants or agents that they can rely on to automate tasks and thereby boost productivity and customer satisfaction. The old way was to wait for a data scientist who would have specific knowledge. Now, the new way is for AI agents to develop dashboards on your behalf, on their behalf, as well as have access to a wide range of data and be able to analyze information that makes sense for the consumers of information. And this is having a profound way in which we approach embedding AI in our products. So at BMC, we have come up with a number of actions in our products. Certain actions are about conversing with a virtual agent so that you can get services from an agent. Certain actions are focused on summarizing. This could be an incident, a knowledge article, a report, and so on. There are several other actions predict which support team an incident should be assigned to, recommend the best actions that should be performed after doing the previous actions, automate in a big way, create dashboards, create knowledge articles or other documents based on the power of generative AI. So all of these actions are embedded in BMC Helix products. BMC Helix GPT is our agent to AI solution for service ops, and Helix GPT relies on a fleet of agents spread across service management and operations management. And you can see these agents include one called Insight Finder. Helix GPT Insight Finder is our solution for embedding generative AI into Helix dashboards. You can use Helix GPT with a wide range of databases. You can use it with not just BMC solutions, but also some other ITSM solutions as well. You can bring your own large language models if you have a subscription to Azure OpenAI or Google Gemini. You can use these subscriptions so that you can leverage your existing investment in large language models in your and ITOM activities. So I explained how Helix GPT Manager can leverage not just the BMC Helix interfaces, but also other interfaces that you may already be using with. And the data sources that you will use are not just BMC Helix, but a number of external data sources as well. Insight Finder, as I said, is our solution to automate the process of developing dashboards. This is a key roadmap item for us. We are investing heavily in AI, especially in dashboards, and this is a key differentiator with smart reporting. Unlike smart reporting, with Insight Finder, you will be able to develop dashboards through a natural language command. And your report editors or data analysts will be able to simply explain their analytics needs in natural language, and the system develops a dashboard for them. This is not just a productivity enhancing tool, which of course it does. It dramatically increases your productivity from several days to possibly a few minutes. But there's more to Insight Finder than just automating a task of building a dashboard. Insight Finder will also guide the users to analyze the data. It not just presents the data, it determines the most optimal way of presenting that visualization. It even determines what columns should be presented and whether to use a bar chart or a pie chart. Insight Finder in the future will be able to detect outliers in your data so that you don't just develop a dashboard, but it also is able to identify anomalies or outliers in the data. Outliers can be positive or negative. So you may be looking at different business services and how certain business services may be performing exceedingly well in terms of mean time to resolve or customer satisfaction, and certain services may be laggards. Insight Finder will be able to identify what are the potential causes why certain services are performing exceedingly well while others are not. We will also have the ability to summarize insights. So after you've got a visualization, after you've got a dashboard, Insight Finder will be able to generate a narrative summary, a text summary of what it found in that bar chart or pie chart, and summarize it in a human readable way. Insight Finder in the future will also be able to provide interactive data narratives. That is, it will be able to offer a few analytical options to the analyst so that once it creates a dashboard, it can offer a few options for what the analyst could do next. What's the next line of analysis? And depending on whatever options Insight Finder wants, the analyst can go down a rabbit hole and analyze a particular area, a particular anomaly or outlier. Insight Finder will be a tool not just for developing dashboards, but even for your end users, those who don't develop dashboards but consume dashboards regularly. They'll be able to execute among the existing dashboards. So there's tremendous value in Insight Finder for most users at your company. Now let's come to a few other roadmap items not related to Helix GPT. One is Grafana. We use Grafana open source in Helix Dashboards. We are currently at version 10.4, and in an upcoming release, we will upgrade to Grafana 11.2. The benefit for you is that you will be able to take advantage of the newer features of the new release so that you always benefit from whatever new Grafana has introduced in the product. It could be UI, it could be other features, and so on. Visual Query Builder is the drag and drop report designer. We just covered a demo of this product. One more point about Visual Query Builder is that out of the box, we ship several views. If you want to extend Visual Query Builder to your custom forms, custom applications, or custom fields, then you can use Reporting Metadata Studio, which we also covered in the demo. Helix Dashboard ships with several out-of-the-box views, and these cover almost all areas of IT service management, as well as some others such as digital workplace and business workflows. There are a couple of roadmap items. We will be shipping release management and foundation data, views for release management and foundation data in upcoming releases. I covered Metadata Studio. Digging a little deeper, Visual Query Builder, we provided it as a tool, but we continually make enhancements to it to make it easier for you to adopt it. But because this is a drag and drop designer, query designer, it needs to have the ability for you to manipulate data as you're sifting through data, as you display data. So you would expect typical operators, anything that you would expect in SQL, you would expect it to be available in this tool without having to write SQL. So a wide range of operators, functions, typically data and string functions, you often have to manipulate data. One challenge data analysts often face with ITSM data is that the quality of underlying data is not good. For example, if a field is supposed to have yes or no values, you'll find sometimes it is yes, all capitalized, sometimes it is all lowercase, sometimes it's title case. How do you standardize this so that it looks good, at least in reports? You would use string functions like uppercase, lowercase. If there are any leading or trailing spaces in writing SQL, you would use functions like ltrim, rtrim. We have made all these functions available for you so that it is easier for you to manipulate the data that's available in the database. I explained this additional filters, additional filter conditions on string and number data types, exact matches, approximate matches, all of these are supported. Some recent enhancements in Visual Query Builder are that when you hover the mouse over a field, it displays the database name. It's always helpful if you understand the schema, the underlying form and field, and the view, then it always helps to know what is the field that is being shown on the UI. There's a semantic layer that we have created in the system. The semantic layer helps Insight Finder, Helix GPT Insight Finder relies on the semantic layer to understand the schema. So we continually enrich the ITSM schema to update all the key objects. So we have already done this for incidents, problems, changes. We'll also be doing this for other ITSM forms. Role-based access control allows your admins to create custom roles so that you have much more granular control over what each user can do. So you can create custom roles for users who can just develop dashboards, nothing else. Or some users you may want to give them just the ability to create data sources without making them admins. Role-based access control allows you to do that. And this allows you to actually put into action several use cases. For example, you want to restrict fields to to folders, to just specific roles. You can do that. You can allow only specific users to manage schedules without making them admins. Okay. Or you want to restrict editors to just certain query types. Once Visual Query Builder becomes widespread at your company, you may want to remove the ability to write SQL in reports. You can do all of that using role-based access control. Some other improvements recently are about the BMC Record Details plugin. This is the plugin that we use for displaying individual records, such as incidents, changes, and so on. So with this plugin, we now handle word wrap, or we retain the carriage returns. So for detailed fields like detailed description, you may have a carriage return where you start on a new paragraph. We now we now retain all this formatting when we display that data in reports. We resize the panels dynamically depending on the data in those fields. BMC table plugin is a plugin we developed for the specific needs of our customers. So this is an enhancement over the Grafana out-of-the-box table plugin. We have introduced a number of usability improvements over the past few releases so that you should find it easier to use BMC table rather than the Grafana table plugin. A recent innovation here is the ability to generate barcodes, especially if you want to generate barcodes based on serial number or other attributes of assets. You can use this plugin to generate those barcodes, print those stickers, and stick those stickers on those assets. Some upcoming improvements on table plugin: concatenate columns, split one field into multiple columns. Once you have created a query, once you have got the results set on the screen, you should be able to filter on columns. We also plan to allow you to freeze rows and columns like you can do in Excel. Allow certain fields to be hidden. Where would you use this? Typically, fields that are primary keys in ITSM, but you don't want to display them, but they are required for drill through, or they're required for joining with another panel, will allow you to hide such fields. We're adding additional calculations in the footer. Today, we allow mean and total, but in the future, we'll allow maximum, minimum, median, and so on, and a few other usability improvements. The BMC bar chart plugin, we plan to introduce two variables on the y-axis. So if you want to see how two variables progress over time, and if you want to track the correlation between those two variables, we will be able to do that. The calendar plugin is a great way to visualize events on a calendar. We plan to upgrade the calendar plugin so that you'll be able to visualize data for an entire year. So imagine being able to view the change calendar for an entire year. You'll be able to do that using the calendar plugin. PDF enhancements. We have enhanced the PDF exporting capabilities so that we have seen over the past year, the adoption of dashboards has increased so much that based on the feedback we received from customers, we introduced several improvements to how data is exported out of dashboards. And one common format of exporting is PDF. So this is an area where we have done significant work in the past 1 year. Scheduling is a key area of dashboards. We now allow you to configure multiple FTP connections. We know that large organizations prefer to have multiple teams access multiple connections, so we allow you to do that. We also found that some of our customers prefer the ability to have something like some guardrails to prevent inadvertent deletion of schedules. So someone deletes a schedule, but they don't mean to. Now we make it harder. If you try to delete all schedules, the system actually forces the user to enter a string so that they're doubly sure of what they're doing. Disabling inactive user schedules here, done that. Conditional scheduling. This is about scheduling a dashboard only if it has data, which means that if the dashboard is blank, don't send that schedule. We support this ability now. And so all these features that you see in this dotted box, dotted rectangle, These are all released in recent releases, and the rest are on the future roadmap. So reassigning schedules from one user to another, especially if one user has left the company and they have some inactive schedules, your admin will be able to reassign that existing schedule to another user. Allow BCC in schedule so that when the schedule is sent, uh, those who are mentioned in BCC, everyone else will not see who else is copied. Dynamic recipient scheduling is about moving away or giving you an option to have an alternative to static recipients. So in static recipients, which we also offer today, you need to specify which users will receive that dashboard. In dynamic recipient scheduling, that list is dynamic and it's determined from another dashboard. So you run that dashboard, and in one panel of that dashboard, you have all the email addresses of the users. For example, you've got a change evaluation board meeting, upcoming change evaluation board meeting, and everyone who has changes which will be discussed in that meeting, only they can attend. So you can generate a report which has a distinct list of change approvers, and you can use that list as the dynamic list for the list of changes that will be reviewed in that meeting. The next stage of conditional scheduling is to be able to schedule a dashboard subject to the fulfillment of conditions. So these conditions will typically be a query, and depending on the result of that query, either that dashboard will be sent or not sent. Today, it's limited to just content. Don't send if it's blank. We'll go one step further so that even if it has data, but if it doesn't meet certain conditions, don't send it. So for example, certain reports, you may want to circulate them only if there are anomalies. But if everything looks normal, don't send that report. We'll allow you to send schedules to all members of a team. Today, you have to mention every user or their email address. Will allow you to send dashboards to all members of a team, as well as will also provide the ability to execute all failed schedules in bulk so that you don't have to do it one at a time. You can use the HTML format so that the content of the dashboard is sent to users in the email body as opposed to as an attachment. You can now send it in the email body. Audit trail is good from a governance standpoint. Your admins will be able to access the audit trail so that they can see who created or modified dashboards, who created or modified folders, who created dashboards and schedules, who deleted them. Sometimes if something unfortunate happens, it always helps to have a trail of what happened and who did what. I'll skip MSP support in the interest of time. We continually deliver new content in terms of out-of-the-box dashboards. These are some of the dashboards we have delivered in the past few releases, and we'll continue to deliver new ones based on what we feel are important for users. So we are going to develop a few dashboards in operations management and licensing, and they will be available over the next few releases. Usage dashboards allow you to measure the adoption of Helix dashboards at your company. So you can know which dashboards are being used the most, which ones not, which users are active, which ones not. Going further in the future, you'll be able to view a certain dashboard, not just how many times it was viewed, but who viewed that dashboard, a granular breakdown of all the users who viewed certain dashboards. License usage dashboards will give you visibility into your SaaS licensing. This is only available this will be available only for SaaS deployments of Helix, where you'll see how many Helix licenses you have purchased, and against that purchase, what's your actual usage. So you'll get details of usage of licenses as well as storage. So BMC allocates you certain storage capacity. What's your current use against what has been allocated? And this is important from you from a license compliance standpoint. It will allow you to be compliant with BMC Helix's licensing conditions. Localization. We support localization for certain languages, French, German, and Spanish. We are extending this to a few other languages, especially Canadian French and Canadian English. We're also going to deliver a localization framework so that any dashboard, you can localize it in any of these supported languages. A long-term roadmap item is the ability to back up dashboards. So this includes the dashboard definition, schedules, and permissions, so that sometimes if by mistake someone deletes a dashboard, you should be able to restore the backup from the definition along with its schedules and permissions. We have also received requests from customers to allow them to refresh dashboard content in sandbox from production. So this is also something that we'll consider on the roadmap slightly longer term. These are some of the past recordings. So we have come to the end of our roadmap, but the slide is about some of the recent webinars that we have hosted on BMC Helix Dashboard. So definitely you'll see a recording of this webinar, which we conducted in the past, along with a few other webinars that we have delivered around key features of our recent releases. Recently, we did a webinar on best practices for service management. You'll see a recording on this on BMC community. With that, we come to the end of our prepared workshop, and now we'll be ready to take your questions.
Thanks, Nikhil. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Yep. So just quickly, actually, on the other sessions we run around best practices, what we'll do is we'll add them to that slide. I know we've got quite a lot on there, and when we share out all the details, we can make sure that anyone that did miss those sessions over the last couple of weeks can go and watch part 1 and part 2. And then with regards to just the workshop, we have got another one coming up. So if you do have any EMEA or US colleagues, that one will be on March the 18th, and we will be then running another one in May. So do keep an eye out on any of the webinars or workshops that are set up. One of the links that will come out to you with the recording and also the Q&A and everything from today will be to go on to the community page where all of the webinars are hosted. So hopefully you found this session very useful today. You can obviously go and look back on the recording. And if you do have any ideas about content you would like to see, then please reach out to me personally or one of the team that have joined today and run the session. And going on to Q&A, your team have done a fine job of answering all questions that we had. So we don't actually have anything in the Q&A at the moment. I know quite a few people had to drop, so I don't know with those that are still here, if you had any questions for the team, feel free to raise your hand or come off mute. Nikhil, why are we just giving people a few minutes left at the end? Because I'm very conscious we've done a lot of talking today. Was there any other key takeaways or anything specific that you wanted to share just as a call to action towards the end? Because I know everyone's on a different journey with their migration.
Yes, we encourage if customers are still using smart reporting, we encourage them to accelerate their migration programs, because smart reporting will in SaaS environments will only be available for a little less than 2 months from now. Customers have already been informed the date that smart reporting will be decommissioned.
There isn't long. Hopefully everyone's already got quite onto their journey. So do obviously consider that, guys. And obviously if you need any services help or any other additional BMC help, please reach out as well. Okay.